So, I was young, but I was also incredibly nosy, and that can get you into trouble. Every Saturday morning, my brother would go off to his karate practice. And this was the ideal opportunity to go and snoop around his room and look through all of his things. I liked to learn and see what people did behind closed doors. I wanted to know their secrets. And I wanted to know these secrets by being sneaky, because that really is the best way. He had one of those high beds with the drawers underneath that he kept his books and toys. Well, I say toys. He was 5 years older than me, a teenager. So his drawers were full of the old-style game console tape cassettes, Beanos and Michael Jackson stuff. And sometimes I would find the odd bit of loose change that, of course, I would take and put in my money box. Well, one particular day, I was looking through his things and I heard this little voice. And at first I ignored it. I dismissed it for sounds of downstairs or outside. And then I heard it again. A high-pitched voice, kind of mousy-like, coming from his bed. So I spoke back to the voice, and I learned that this little voice was a little person. The little person told me that she lived inside my brother's bed. I was fascinated, and thereon, I would always call out to the little person that lived in his room whenever I was there. Sometimes she would reply and tell me how her day was and ask me what I was doing. And other times she must have been just off doing, whatever little people do. This went on for a while, and I began to feel quite jealous of my brother having this little person living with him. I mean, why not visit me in my room, I thought. So one day I plucked up the courage to ask him and to find out, did he know that this little person was living in his bed? He said, "Of course I know about them, and I know you've been coming into my room." He wasn't happy about that. He was having parties with them. It wasn't just one. There was a whole nation of little people living under his bed. I wanted to see them. And he told me, "They're shy. They only let me see them," he said. But all of a sudden, a bump appeared inside his pillowcase, and my brother says, "Oh, look, there's one now. It's in my pillow." And this was so exciting. I saw this one little person, and I was so proud that they showed themselves to me. But I was also a little bit upset. It was only one, and I didn't see it properly. It was covered with the pillowcase over his head. So more time passed, and I became more and more jealous of my brother having fun parties with his nation of little people that never visited my room. And his room smells. I broke down into tears one day. I pleaded with him. Please, please, tears streaming down my face, my voice trembling. Please tell them to let me join. Tell them they have to let me see them. Well, he must have gotten guilty at this point, because he says to me, "Look, sorry, I made it up." He lifts his mattress and he shows me how he'd dislodged one of his wooden slats of his bed, and there was like a little gap in between the drawers that he'd climbed into, and he was the voice. "But what about the one I saw?" I said. "The one that was in your pillowcase." Well, he then goes to his desk. He picks up his ruler He puts his ruler underneath his pillowcase and he pushes down on one edge. And of course the other edge pops up and he looks at me and he shrugs and he says, well, that was me too. And then his face dropped and his voice became stern. Don't come into my room again. And he holds up a black and white picture of a really gruesome looking character with its tongue hanging out, and he says, the little people weren't real, but I'm friends with ghosts, and ghosts do not like nosy little girls. And that's my story.
Yay! Awesome! Z!